Happy Friday, everybody. Oh, there's Tim Van Ram. Hi, Tim Van Ram.
It's TGI. Thank God it's...
I don't think there's restaurants around anymore, are they? TGIF?
I don't know. We
I
might have a few in the UK.
I don't remember seeing one in a while. I don't know.
Oh. I haven't been a long time in the States to know that. I'm sorry.
Of course, we call it Poets' Day.
Yes. Piss on everyone. Tomorrow's Saturday.
Or we say piss off early. Tomorrow is Saturday.
Oh. That's even better, I think.
Anyway. Germans don't work anymore on Fridays.
No?
No. I don't have to work any day.
Even pilots?
Well, if you listen to our Chancellor, he will say that we are working not enough.
Oh, I see.
That's
good. I'm very glad to hear that.
He's trying to crack the whip.
Yeah.
Go back to work, Stefan.
Yeah, okay.
Jeff, that was your cue to crack. That was your cue to crack the whip there, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't picking up on the vibe. Let's see if I can find it. Where is that darn whip?
Anyway, there we go. Oh, yikes. Yikes. Yo. So we have...
Who are you? We are the knights who say...
Nee.
We want a shrubbery!
I love it.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
I love it, too. Excuse me while I whip this out.
Whip this out.
So, as you can see, we're happy to have Captain Stefan with us, and AJ will join when he gets home from work. Steffi, unfortunately, is otherwise occupied today. With all the snow, there was a lot of snow. We're going to talk weather again here, Nick. Sorry. There was a lot of snow around the Charlotte area. And so her office was closed on Monday, so she had to reschedule all her patients.
I'd like to make a note of something. Like when weather is kind of adverse or crappy or whatever, where Nick is, he's happy to talk about the weather.
Oh, am I? I didn't realize that.
Yes, we talk about the weather all the time, or you do. But if it doesn't
that's because
involve
I'm
you,
English.
then, okay.
You're allowed to talk about the weather when you're English.
When has anything ever been fair on this show? We've never had
That's very true.
the
Good
fairness
point. Well said.
fairness doctrine.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
no
the Chile team at the Winter Olympics. It's a flag bearer and one athlete.
Oh.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm watching the opening ceremonies at the Olympics.
Oh, okay.
And it's Chile is walking in, and it's a flag bearer and one athlete.
Okay. So I was still thinking TGIF and then Chili's and
Oh, sorry.
in the same
I'm sorry.
restaurant vein. I'm thinking, what?
I'm so sorry.
What are you talking
So
about?
sorry. Sugar honey iced tea. I love it, Tanya.
Liz, I'm just about to stick a picture of a Martin 202 into
Okay,
Keynote.
just a minute. Let me get out a Keynote. Okay, go to it.
What happens if you don't get out of Keynote?
I don't think you can load while I sort of take ownership of it. I'm out of there now.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
We should try it, see what happens. You probably have to get out and then reload it back in, probably, to see the change.
But he can do what he wants now. Just let me know when you're done.
I will,
Never say that to Captain Nick.
because I'm never done.
Or he can do what he wants. That's the part.
Oh, that's the other bit you should never say.
We
Yes,
usually
you're
give him
quite
carte
right.
blanche on his cover art, though.
Yeah.
I do an awful lot of kowtowing to the general populace, though.
Do you? No.
Yeah.
Really, I'd love to see the real art. If you could just have at it.
Ken Hayes, it's good to see you,
There you
sir.
go. Done it.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Nick.
Let's see, Sam Bolog, and we got Mike Kuipers,
Tanya, Tim Van Ram.
Tanya,
Oh, lovely Tanya.
Hayes,
We love
Tim Van
Tanya.
Ram, and yeah,
We love our Tanya.
I'm gonna start calling Tanya Sugar Honey Iced Tea, or just Sugar.
Hey, Sugar Honey. Hey there, Sugar Honey.
How you doing, baby?
That sounds like a very southern thing to say, to call someone. Hello, Sugar Honey.
Sugar Honey.
Okay. I'm ready when you are. Have you got your recorders on there, Jeffrey?
Nope.
Nope.
No, I do not.
Well, that
Okay,
would be a
let me,
good thing to do.
I should
Just turn them
probably
on.
do that. Okay,
Hello, Micah.
Set up and record.
So we have a plain tale today. Woohoo!
Okay.
Yay!
And we have
Bugger, swipe sideways.
quite a bit of. Oh, he did the swipe.
You're switching sides. Oh,
Well, no, I just swiped myself out of the show.
Oh.
Because
Don't tell
I've
him
got
that
an
we didn't
Apple
really
mouse,
notice.
and if you're not careful, it thinks you want to do a sideways swipe, and
Yeah,
then you disappear.
the dreaded swipey thing.
We really missed you, Nick. I didn't even notice
Yes,
it
I
was going on,
noticed.
did you?
He got back in there pretty fast.
Yeah,
He was,
well,
he was afraid we were going to talk about him. So
I'm used to it now.
Oh no!
I
You
get
guys are
back in
breaking up.
pretty quick.
What the heck?
what? No.
What's
All of
that?
a sudden, the signal that's coming into me
Yeah.
is crap.
Oh.
You guys are,
Oh.
your audio is breaking up.
Really?
Yeah,
well,
wasn't
that's
it the last
probably-
time when I was there too? Something? Was it me, baby? Maybe?
I don't know
No,
if it's necessarily you, because we had issues with this same setup that I'm using right now last week.
Well, I must
Well,
say.
your video is still great.
Yeah, I was going to say your upload is doing fine because your video looks good.
I restarted and only have going okay. I am going to just bring everything down to the bare minimum as
Okay.
far as programs running.
Okay.
So I'm not going to be on WhatsApp or messages. And
That's
if you-
fine.
I guess. Well, I guess I'll still have it on my phone.
We'll communicate.
that's
a good
I'll
idea.
communicate by Unity.
Unity.
I'll communicate with flags.
Yes.
Okay.
Semaphore. Or Sema5. I think
Could
we
be
have-
hand signs enough, something?
Yes,
maybe?
that would be
Yeah.
perfect.
There we go. There.
Yeah.
That'd be very apt.
I'm catching your
Yeah.
what you're putting
Sending
out.
out. I'm catching what you're throwing, baby.
There. Yeah. We can always count on Stefan to add some color
We
commentary.
love
Yeah.
Stefan.
Oh, sorry.
Indeed.
Your
You're
ex.
flagged.
I've been following your ex-colleague there, Captain Harder.
Klaus. Yeah.
Yes, Klaus. Is he from? Does he live?
Wow. He
His
must be
name is
popular with the
Captain
ladies.
Harder. Oh, I love it.
He,
I wish
he
that would have been a great name.
he's a fan of your football club in Hamburg, though. He follows your football club.
Oh, he's the one. I know one. That's good.
He's the one.
There you go.
I think the
Must be
colors are
popular.
blue and black, right? Blue and black.
Yeah, blue, black, and white. And
Right.
I flew with him a couple of times, but that's 20 years ago or something when he was still a first officer. So, so
He reminds me of Nick. He has a beard and a big smile and flies
Yeah.
He has a beard.
Yeah.
330s and
weird.
340s.
yeah. But his name is still attached to, I guess, his favorite airplane, the 747.
Oh,
Isn't it?
Oh, he's
Something?
just showing his age.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. The first one we're going to do is that near tragedy in San Antonio
near tragedy. Yeah.
video. So I think I'm ready with that. Let me just
Okay.
double check, make sure.
That's
I think
good.
I've loaded that up, and I still have Keynote running. Okay, good.
And you still got your recorders on. Good.
I do have the recorders on,
That's good.
and let's just do a sound check on Radio Roger.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
Sounds good in England.
APG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 694.
Is that okay, Liz?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Okay. All righty. I
Alrighty.
think we can get this
Get
show
your
on the
countdown
road.
ready there, Jeffy.
Oh, the countdown. Yeah, that's probably something I should do. Right now, I'm going to hit it. Right. Here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 694.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded the week of February 2nd, 2026.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the airline pilot guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the airline pilot guy.
In today's episode, the NTSB says the pilot in the crash killing NASCAR great Greg Biffle was not properly licensed. And a Canadian flight attendant poses as a pilot to get free travel. Also had more news, your feedback, and today's plane tale. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 694 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining me from his Garden View studio,
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
retired professional dog photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways, it's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff, and hi everyone on the show, listening and taking part. 694. There was a TWA flight 694 back when I was 1 year old, so that would have been 1955. They got airborne out of, Greater Cincinnati Airport. They didn't go very far, about 2 miles before they hit a DC-3 that was bumbling around as an unknown traffic and without clearance, and it was privately owned. Unfortunately, both aircraft crashed. And on flight 694, which was a Martin 202A, I didn't know about this aeroplane before this piece of news. But anyway, 13 passengers and crew on flight 694, including one Kentuckian, and 2 crew members were killed. The first fatal commercial airplane accident since the airport opened in 1947.
There you go.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Captain Nick. And hey, you know what? We have somebody that comes on every now and then. And
Jawohl.
let's see. From his home studio in
Meine
Hamburg,
Dingsbomb.
retired Lufthansa 737, A300, A340, A380 captain from Germany. Wait a minute. What happened to the 747? You're a 747 captain too, right?
No.
Oh,
No, he has taste, as our
Nine.
Stefan.
Captain Stefan, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's an honor to join you again on this show, and I hope I can contribute something sensible to this evening. Let's hope and cross, how do you say, whatever, in English, looking
Cross your
forward
heart.
to it. Yeah, cross your heart.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, the bar is not very high, Stefan, so no worries. No
Oh, okay.
worries. All right. Good to see you. And great to have you with us. And also joining us from our studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer. It's the lovely Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody. I'm not going to talk about the weather today.
Oh, that's all right. What is it, minus 14?
No, it's going down to minus 18 overnight, but it's going to feel like minus 25 or something like that. we have
Let's
we
see,
have a
Canada
we have a
in
cold
February,
warning.
cold?
Yeah, but Toronto usually has not had this super extreme weather. But anyway, aren't we lucky?
Yes, you are.
Yes, we
And we're
are.
lucky to have you
And
with us
I'm lucky
today,
to be
Liz.
here with you guys.
Yeah,
Aw, isn't that sweet?
Aw.
All right, have a
It
good
is
show.
nice.
Cheers.
Thanks. Let's do some news.
Stand by for news.
All right, we're going to start off with some video. This is from Bass Aviation. Near tragedy in San Antonio, Texas. Plane almost entered the runway that they were using for takeoff. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cue it up, and we're going to hit the button, and there we go. There's the Bass Aviation intro sounder, Real Aviation Communications.
Transport 420, cross runway 22 at Foxtrot, make a right turn in November. Southwest 4996, and it's Tara, you up and ready? Ready to go. Southwest 4996, traffic's 4 mile final, runway 22, clear for takeoff. Charge, Transport 420, left turn on Golf, cross runway 31, left and 31 right at Delta in November. Wind 210 at 9. Follow the Delta. Delta 4208, cross runway 31 left and 31 right at Delta and then November. Cancel takeoff clearance, cancel takeoff clearance, southwest. Cancel takeoff clearance, charter, Tater 420, turn left immediately. Hold your position, charter for traffic 20. Hold your Skyway 6210, go around, fly runway heading, climb maintain 4000.
Going around 4,000, runway heading, Skyway 6210.
Southwest 4996. Wind able, sir, can you hold your position on the runway? Go 6210. You can contact departure on 125.7 WC.
27 Scout, 6210.
Okay, Southwest 4996, continue forward and turn right at Golf and contact ground when off. Do you need to go back to the gate, sir? Southwest 4996, roger.
He's going back.
Charter Transport 420, turn left on taxiway November and hold your position.
Turn left at November, Charter 420.
Charter Transport 420, turn right on November 13 there, through the inner ramp, and hold a beam the Alpha Terminal. I guess, so you're going to turn right on November 12 now, turn right on November 12 through the inner ramp and hold a beam the Alpha Terminal.
Okay, right here and then hold on the ramp here behind Southwest.
No.
Southwest 420, yeah, turn right there, another right, and then you're going to turn left and hold the beam the Alpha Terminal.
He doesn't know where the Alpha is.
Yeah, turn left. You're going to hold at the very end of it.
Okay, turning left here.
Charter West 420. Actually, I'll put you somewhere else. Let's go left there. Turn right onto Golf 1, and I'll have further free shortly.
The Southwest jet returned to the gate, and this troubled airplane departed 15 minutes after the incident. I can't believe it only took him 15 minutes to get to the departure runway.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just wondering about his, his situational awareness, because he's just crossed that runway. He's just crossed this live runway, and he does a 90 right, and then somehow thinks that he can go 90 right again without running into the same runway he's just been crossing. Did he misinterpret the runway crossing instructions or something? But I really worry about that. That was awful.
Does he even have like something that shows him the diagram of the airport and the taxiway?
Wouldn't it be helpful if people had little maps and things?
Yeah, that would be very helpful, I think.
I have two first. First, the tower said some unusual commando. He said shit. What does it mean? In aviation language does this fit to? I mean, just check it. Maybe it's some American procedure. And Sorry.
Thank you, Stefan, for that. More work for me on my edit. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, it's on live audio, isn't it? On, and so you don't have to edit. And also he tried to turn on the runway just after the other guy who was going up north got a tower runway crossing clearance. So I guess he must have he was confused, and then he got someone he was hearing runway crossing. So he thought, hey, so I guess I cross the runway or something.
Oh, here's a runway. Well, go ahead and cross it.
Yeah.
Yes, any old runway will
Yeah.
do.
May not be the correct one,
Yeah.
the right place, but
Yeah.
wow. Well, I think the fact that he had the exclamation, the explicit exclamation, meant that it really caught him off guard. He probably looked at the window and went, What are you doing?
I actually have to say hats off to the controller because he picked it up very quickly, didn't he?
Yeah.
As he swung, in fact, he'd gone such a short distance into that turn off, or the approach to the runway, that he was able to do a U-turn inside that area. So he had barely entered that little short bit of taxiway before he'd been told to stop. So I thought the controller must have really been on the ball there. Well done.
And very. I don't know if it's the same controller or a different controller. Giving the SkyWest flight that was coming in for landing. Instructions for go around and handed them off to departure control and that kind of thing. And when all that happened, I'm thinking this is another great example of it's probably a great day, beautiful weather, and like what could possibly go wrong, and then some idiot makes a wrong turn and makes an aborted takeoff on the runway that you're coming in to land on. I mean, you can never be sure until you're actually touching down whether or not you're actually going to be on the ground. So you always should be thinking, okay, what happens right at this point? What am I going to do? How am I going to go around? Where am I going to go? What are the procedures? Kind of always be thinking.
That's a good point, Jeff. Yeah, because it would have come as a complete surprise to them. They were probably thinking, "Oh, I'm fat, dumb, and happy. Got my landing clearance. I'm good." Next thing they know, they're going around going, "What?"
Yeah, but you probably, when you're in approach and you hear someone getting a rejected takeoff clearance, stop takeoff, your antennas will start already sticking out. And you say, maybe, no. But maybe I'm wrong, but you could hear the tower controller. I mean, after he got excited, he was talking very fast. He really did a controlled, slow speak afterwards to calm him down, to give taxi instruction to the other one. So it was interesting to listen to the whole thing very much. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well done by the alert tower controller, and shame on Charter 420. I mean, you need to maybe do a little studying, like airport diagrams and stuff, if you're not familiar with where you're going or what you're expected to do when you're at the San Antonio International Airport.
Yep.
All right. Let's continue then. And again, working with just one screen, so stand by. Okay. I'm not going to play the video on this one. We're going to include it in the show notes. Okay, we have an update on, actually it's the preliminary report, isn't it? The NTSB released the preliminary report on the fatal Greg Biffle aviation incident. And let's see, this article is from motorsport.com. There were several issues with the plane before and after takeoff. The NTSB released its preliminary findings after a 43-day investigation into the aviation accident that killed NASCAR veteran Greg Biffle, his immediate family, and 2 pilots, and 1 associated individual at Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina. A full report will still take 12 to 18 additional months to complete. NTSB preliminary reports do not place blame, but merely establish a series of facts for the next phase of the investigation to begin working off of in the following months. Again, just a reminder, this news source is not an aviation-related news source. It's in the motorsport world, because Greg Biffle was a NASCAR race car driver. So that's why they're taking the extra time to explain the whole process with the NTSB prelim reports and such. So I think that's a good idea. The report states that pilot Dennis Dutton was in the left seat, which is the primary pilot position for the Cessna Citation 550, and his adult son, Jack, was in the right seat. However, the report also states that while a pilot, Jack did not have the appropriate license to serve as a second in command on this type of plane. While the Cessna Citation 550 can be piloted with a single pilot, that requires a license that the elder Dutton also did not have. The below italicized text is from the NTSB preliminary report. Quote, the pilot had type ratings for the A320, A330, A350, Boeing 737, Boeing 757, 767, this jet, the CE-500, and DC-10. As part of the pilot's CE-500 type rating, he had the limitation, quote, CE-500 second in command required. The pilot reported civil flight experience that included 17,000 total and 400 hours in the last 6 months as of his last first-class medical application dated April 29, 2025. Review of the right seat passenger's logbook, his son, indicated that he had 175.3 total flight hours in single-engine land airplanes as of November 29, 2025. The right seat passenger's most recent first-class medical certificate was issued on August 12, 2024. The right seat passenger was not qualified to perform second-in-command duties per Title 14 CFR Part 6155. And then they also include Greg Biffle, who he is also a pilot, a rear seat passenger with a private pilot certificate and ratings for multi-engine land, instrument airplane, and rotorcraft helicopter, was positioned near the cockpit in the cabin area. Just an aside, getting away from this article for a moment, it's interesting. They talk about the fact that the pilot in command was required to have a second in command, and if you're new on this particular jet, that's always a limitation. And then after a certain amount of experience, you can apply to have single seat or single pilot qualification on the jet. So it's kind of an experience, time, hours, experience kind of a thing. And I'm not sure if the jet itself has to be specially fitted for the single pilot operation or not. I'm not really clear on that. But again, his son, let's see, what was his name again? Jack, in the right seat, had, a considerable amount of time logged, except for it was all single engine GA kind of time. So it doesn't sound like he had any multi-engine experience, nor did he have any jet experience. So he was just sitting in the right seat basically to help out. And as referred to a lot in the preliminary report, they don't even refer to him as a pilot. They just say the right seat passenger. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that were an issue or possible issue in this, some issues that they had with the jet before they even took off. When they went to start the engines, the engine start was initiated using onboard battery power, and following an initial unsuccessful start of the number one engine, both engines were started about 9:53. The airplane taxied from the south parking area, crossed runway 10-28 at midfield, taxied to the approach end of runway 10. During taxi, the pilot and the two pilot-rated passengers discussed that a thrust reverser indicator light for an unspecified engine was inoperative, but that the thrust reverser for the affected engine was working properly. Okay, so that's something. And again, I'm not familiar with this jet and the minimum equipment list on this operation or this particular jet, but I'm assuming it was okay to go ahead and fly the airplane with the light not working. I don't know. Upon takeoff to Sarasota, Florida, where the occupants were en route to, it doesn't matter. The rear passenger commented that the left engine was producing more power than the right and indicated there may have been a faulty gauge, but the pilot continued with the takeoff. Let's see. The pilot initiated a climb. Shortly thereafter, the rear passenger noted a difference between the left and right engine interstage turbine temperature indications, ITT. The report states that there were no further discussions about the difference in engine power between the two for the rest of the flight over the cockpit voice recorder from that moment to the crash itself. So the takeoff took place at 10:06 a.m. The crash took place at 10:15. So flight didn't last very long, just shy of 10 minutes, I guess. Starting at 10:10:18, the cockpit area microphone captured the pilot making remarks indicating his altitude indicator was not working properly, and that an additional left side flight instruments may not have been working properly. The Garmin GTN-750 stopped recording airspeed data at 10:09:37 and heading data at 10:10:58. About 10:11, airplane control was transferred to the right seat passenger at an altitude of about 4,500 feet MSL. No comments were recorded during the remainder of the CPR, indicating that there were any malfunctions with the right side cockpit flight instruments. The report says that the left seat pilot had resumed control of the plane by 10:13 a.m., so about approximately 2 minutes before the crash. He requested that the flaps be extended and the landing gear be deployed. Subsequent discussions were consistent with the landing gear being configured. However, the gear indicator lights were not illuminated. The right seat passenger, Jack Dutton, was recorded as speaking over the common traffic advisory frequency that, quote, "We are having some issues here." And then at 10:14, so just a little bit more than a minute before the crash, the rear passenger made a query, I guess this is Greg Biffle, to the pilot regarding power to the alternator. And then there's a note here, the CE-550 airplane is not equipped with an alternator. But I guess he must be referring to maybe the engine generator. About 4 seconds later, audio quality returned to previous levels on all recorded CBR audio channels. After the audio quality returned, the pilot made a comment indicating that that was a problem, or that was the problem. However, did not specify what the problem was or what actions were taken to correct it. There were no additional discussions regarding the pilot's flight instrumentation for the remainder of the CPR recording. And then they talk a little bit more about the impact. The first impact was with a light stanchion in the runway 28 medium intensity approach light system with runway alignment indicator lights. They hit a couple of the lights on that, and then there was another impact of another light stanchion a little bit further down, and then some trees were severed at about 12 feet high, and then impact with the runway itself. And then, it didn't take very long after it hit the overrun area and came to a rest shortly beyond that at the, looks like the displaced threshold for runway 28, I guess, or 10. Yeah, 28. Anyway, so what do you guys think?
Well, hard to know, isn't it? I don't know anything about this type, but it seems to me that the pilot who was flying the dad had a lot of experience. So I'm thinking, this is the. It's never good when you have an accident and you hear there are licensing issues. People usually lock onto that and they go, well, he wasn't qualified to do what he was doing, so that must be the cause, but not necessarily. They both might have been had some hours on this airplane, and they both, were probably quite capable of flying it. But of course, it might be a factor when it comes to handling a difficult emergency. And this does sound kind of weird. The odd things that were going wrong don't seem to point towards any particular system, except perhaps they might have had an electrical power issue. They might have had a static pressure for their instruments issue. The fact that indicator lights weren't coming on might mean that things are working, but not all the lights are being powered. And then they think they fixed it, but they still managed to, impact short of the runway. So, I'm going to have to wait 18 months, they said, before the next, the final report. What do you reckon, Stefan?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they forgot to switch on one of the generators. So they took off with one generator not on. That's why they had a couple of lights missing. Maybe that's why the difference in the engine turbine temperature, because if the generator is not producing any power, it's also less work for the engine, I assume. Maybe it shows in that kind. So maybe they simply forgot to switch on one generator. I mean, it has a cascade of errors, including maybe frozen pitot heap or whatever. All these things happen then, maybe.
Huh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
That's a thought.
Yep,
definitely.
What's interesting about this whole thing is that initially, when I remember shortly after it happened, we were discussing the flight path, the 3D plot, and how it seemed like it was just going all over the place. Airspeed fluctuations, altitude fluctuations, and to me, and I think Captain Nick as well, you agree that we were thinking, oh, it's got to be some kind of a pitot-static system issue that they're having, because it seems like they're having control issues with the airplane. And then, like, just a few days later, there was some speculation that it was something to do with a problem with the engine. And then we're going, oh, okay, well, that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And now we're back to, well, they had issues starting the engine, but then once they got airborne, it didn't seem to be so much an engine issue anymore, but more of a, as Captain Stefan mentions, possibly electrical / pitot-static, or a combination of the two, that caused really the problems in the jet. And I like that idea that maybe, especially that comment that was made, like, oh, okay, that fixed the problem. And the reason why we don't know really what that problem was is because the electrical system, I think, was so degraded that we weren't getting good recording on the cockpit voice recorder at that point, until whatever they did fixed the problem.
No, they did mention that they had to make extraordinary efforts to get the recording to a point where they could make out what they were talking about. So they fixed that, obviously, because when they got full power, if that was the issue, the CVR began to produce good quality again. So they're very hard to work out what was previously said if they're having problems with the standard of audio.
Well, they started the engine with battery power at the first, so maybe the battery was weak too, and had some issues that sometimes can also cause some problem in the electric system. Maybe, I mean, the first start with battery power wasn't successful. Then the second start on the other engine was successful. So maybe the battery was already sucked out a bit, and could be. I don't know.
That's a possibility. The thing that I still wonder about is, okay, well, let's say that the engines were pretty much working normally because there wasn't really any mention about the engines. Why did they land so short? I don't get. They're below the cloud deck. They should see the runway. What caused? Was there something else, just distraction involved here, and weren't keeping good tabs on the airspeed? Or
what? The only thought I had there, Jeff, was that the pilot, who was the guy with the experience, was asking his son to select services for him, including the flaps. So I'm just wondering if his son was as familiar with the aircraft as the dad was, and was he making the right selections, or did he mess up a flap selection, and they might have then run out of airspeed and stalled unexpectedly because the flaps weren't put in the right position.
Wow. Lots of interesting facts that they've revealed here, and how they all relate to each other. I'm hoping we'll be able to find out in the final report.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to it.
Okay, the actual preliminary report will be included in our show notes, along with a good analysis by Juan Brown, the Blancalirio YouTube channel. So,
and I may also I mentioned that in the report itself. That's why I was scratching my head. In the report itself, it doesn't say any names of who perished there and everything. So this is with a name and everything. It's because it's from a newspaper they added, isn't it?
Yes, the
Yeah. Okay.
Motorsport News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They must have
Yeah.
had some other information, aside from the National Transportation Safety Boards.
Okay.
I noticed from reading the full report that they didn't mention any obvious engine damage. They were talking about they examined the engine blades, etc., and they all appeared to be, there wasn't anything obvious that they pointed out as to be an indication of a failure.
Very, very interesting. Okay, yeah, we'll keep our eyes and ears open on this one for sure. Okay. Let's continue on then with this from the Aviation Herald. You'll remember the Air India Boeing 787-8 crash Ahmedabad on June 12th of last year. Lost height shortly after takeoff, no thrust reported. Well, this involves another Air India incident in a 787-8 on, let's see, let me just read here. Let's see, on February 1st, 2026, so about a week ago, just under that, the Supreme Court in India set the date for the next hearing on February 11th. On February 2nd, the crew of an Air India Boeing 787-8 registration Victor Tango Alpha November X-ray performing flight 132 from London Heathrow to Bangalore observed during engine start that the left-hand fuel control switch failed to remain in the run position 2 times and moved towards the cutoff position. That's no good. India's Safety Matters Foundation released a press release stating, quote, "The foundation notes that this incident comes against the backdrop of the ongoing investigation into the tragic loss of Air India Flight 171 on 12 June 2025, which also involved a Boeing 787. While no connection is implied, the repeated emergence of issues with a critical flight control system on the same aircraft type demands the highest level of scrutiny." Air India stated, quote, "We are aware that one of our pilots has reported a possible defect on the fuel control switch of a Boeing 787-8 aircraft. After receiving this initial information, we have grounded that said aircraft and are involving the original equipment manufacturer, Boeing, to get the pilot's concerns checked on a priority basis. The matter has been communicated to the aviation regulator, DGCA. Air India had checked the fuel control switches on all Boeing 787 aircraft in its fleet after a directive from the DGCA and found no issues. At Air India, the safety of our passengers and crew remains top priority." Okay. We know you had a choice in airlines. Thank you for choosing ours. Have a nice day.
Jeff, I listening to that and reading the report the crew said, it's very imprecise when you really need precise language at this point. They said, observed during engine start that the left-hand fuel control switch failed to remain in the run position 2 times and moved towards the cutoff position. How did it get there? Did it just move to the gate, or did it jump the gate? I mean, it's imprecise as to exactly what that switch did, and leads me to go, were they sure that it did something, or were they going, oh, it wasn't quite where I left it, or perhaps it was, I don't know. It's just, I really do despair at people, pilots in particular, who cannot be exact about what they've seen.
In our live audience, Sam Bolog says, "I'm going to go out on a limb here. Other than coincidence, is it possible that there's maintenance to be done on the switches that Air India possibly wasn't performing?"
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate what they said, because they said they'd done checks on their entire fleet, all the switches in their entire fleet. So, Air India. So either their engineers aren't very good at doing their job, or, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a question. If it was it really serious? I mean, if it would have been very serious for those crew on the flight from London, then why did they do the flight? So, I mean, if you're being an airplane, you said, "Hey, my switches are not holding in the flight position. I think we shouldn't fly, don't we?" But maybe they decided it's not that bad, and the big fuss was coming after the landing, and someone got hold of the TOB pages or whatever. Maybe it wasn't so. I mean, may I quote another podcast here? This one on your show,
Please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Flight Radar 24, their podcast. They mentioned this today. I mean, it came out a couple of hours ago, and they were also discussing that the maintenance guys, of course, took then the airplane and they did checking on the fuel switches, and when they tried to move it normally from up to down, and it was locked. They didn't lift it. I mean, it was locked as supposed to be. But when they were doing some, it was the flight radar guys, podcast guy, they were also not sure what that meant when they were doing some sidewards, whatever movement. Maybe you should listen to this podcast again. Then they were able to move the switch to cutoff. In a way which is not meant to be by the procedure. So I don't know what that meant. I mean, I know that the defect switches, where the air, there was an airworthiness directive about the fuel switches, and I saw the picture that when you were turning them, then you could lift them without. When you turn the switches and was moving them down, you could avoid the locks.
Oh.
So, but therefore you have to turn it. I mean,
you know what we're going to do, Stefan, if you can send me, not right now, but after the fact, a link to that podcast, and we'll include that in the show notes as well.
I will,
people can listen.
certainly.
Okay. Of course, though, no pilot on takeoff should have his hands anywhere near those fuel cutter switches to move them regardless. So, I do go back to the original accident and go, they were really just airborne, and gear coming up, etc., and these switches both turned off. So I'm going, if they could found an odd way to move the switches, not in the conventional manner, fine and beaut, but who would have their hands on those switches at that phase of flight? Well, nobody should have their hands on those switches.
Yeah, unless they suspected there was something wrong with their operation,
Yeah.
And in that case, they shouldn't be performing the takeoff to begin with. Yeah, perhaps somebody listening out there in our audience is a 787 pilot that they could give us some information or some perspective, or maybe a maintenance engineer on the airplane. Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's a coincidence, but for the same airline to have an issue that affected a crash that they had, and nobody else in the world seems to have reported a similar issue, does wave a flag for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. All right. Yeah, we'll keep looking at that, and if we see anything regarding that, we'll definitely bring it up on the show. Okay. All right, we're going to skip to news item 01 or 01E. Okay, this is a final report. This is, again, from the aviationherald.com. Final report was issued by the National Transportation Safety Board on an accident at Atlanta Icelandic Boeing 747-400 at Frankfurt on the 29th of November 2023, so a little while ago. Tail strike on departure, and the aircraft flew across the Atlantic with
yeah, this is a bit naughty, isn't it? Oops.
An Air Atlanta Icelandic Boeing 747-400 freighter, registration Tango Foxtrot Alpha Mike Kilo, performing Flight 703 from Frankfurt, Hahn, Germany to Greenville, South Carolina, departed Hahn Airport's runway 21, but struck its tail onto the runway surface. The aircraft climbed out to initial cruise level of flight level 300, later step climbed to flight level 320 and flight level 340, and landed on Greenville's runway 22. About 8 hours, 45 minutes after departure, a post-flight inspection revealed substantial damage to the belly of the fuselage. The aircraft remained on the ground in Greenville for about 13 days, and then they ferried it to Marana, Arizona. That's kind of, I think, between Phoenix and Tucson, Arizona, very dry. On December 12th, 2023, the aircraft remained on the ground in Marana until January 8th, 2024, and subsequently returned to service. So let's see, on January 27th, 2026, the BFU released their final report. BFU, what does that stand for, Captain Stefan?
Bundesunfallstelle. I'm sorry, I have to.
No, say it in German. I want you to say it in German.
Bundesuntersuchungsstelle für Flugunfälle.
There. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Could you do it a bit faster?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, as long as we have a German on as a host, we might as well have them say this, right?
Yeah,
okay,
indeed.
So they released they released their final report, concluding the probable causes were the pilot in command confirmed that he had accidentally entered a V rotate speed too low with 30 knots into the multi-purpose control and display unit. I have a question about this in a second.
So do I.
This constitutes an unintentional action on his part that had safety-related consequences. Yeah, no kidding. The values entered in the multi-purpose control and display unit were not controlled according to the standard operating procedures. Okay, I'm not sure what they mean by controlled. And then in the rotation phase, the longitudinal angle of inclination was about 15 degrees. The aerodynamic lift forces were too low at that point in time, which activated the stall warning, followed by the triggering of the stick shaker on the control yoke. The investigation identified the following contributing factors. Crew resource management was not effective at the crucial stage of controlling the entered values in the multipurpose control and display unit. According to the description of the co-pilot, the takeoff performance calculation was carried out by both pilots. The data from the takeoff performance calculation were not correctly entered in the MCDU by the pilot in command. The co-pilot did not cross-check whether the data had been entered error-free. Thus, the incorrect entry remained unnoticed until the stick shaker was activated during the initial takeoff phase. The airline described in detail in the flight crew operation manual normal procedures, amplified procedures, and then they have some letters and numbers here, which we'll have in the show notes. The procedure for cross-checking the calculated data in the MCDU. In addition, the EFB task flow guide described a cross-check of the takeoff calculation, including the assignment of the respective flight crew member to carry out the activity. Several points in the airline's documentation explain the procedures, including the responsibilities for calculations and implementations. The SOP standard operating procedures represent an effective safety barrier, which should also be used in personally perceived stress situations. The procedure describes the process of the takeoff performance calculation, as well as the mutual review of the results and their subsequent entry into the FMS. First, the takeoff parameters are calculated by the pilot flying and the pilot monitoring on their EFB. Subsequently, the pilot monitoring reads the determined values out loud. The pilot in command shall enter the confirmed data into the FMS or MCDU. A mutual cross-check of the entered values is planned. In the present incident, this procedure was most likely not carried out. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it was. The wrong entry should have been noticed by the co-pilot at the latest during the takeoff run, as the indicated airspeed for VR was significantly too low for the almost maximum takeoff mass. Due to the many years of flying experience of the pilot in command and the co-pilot and their experience with the handling of different takeoff masses and corresponding takeoff speeds, the low speed should have been noticeable to both, but in particular to the co-pilot in his function as the monitoring pilot. He represented the last safety barrier and had the opportunity to inform the pilot in command of the error. Okay, so my question for you guys is, I'm not sure I understand the paragraph toward the beginning in their final report. The pilot come in, confirmed that he had accidentally entered a VR too low with 30 knots. And do they mean it was 30 knots too low, or he entered 30 knots? In the
Good question. I don't know.
In it. I'm confused.
I think it was 30 knots too low. I mean, otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, if he put it 30 knots, it should have been pretty obvious.
The speed,
yeah,
the speed tape wouldn't be registering, I guess, until like, what, 50, 60 knots, something like that?
And
I don't know.
am I even in the old 7.3 Classic I was flying, the FMS had the feature was when I was entering the weights, it presented me the default for a balanced field length, the speeds already. So basically, if I would put then 3 times enter, I have the speeds in it. So you could of course override them for performance purposes, but the right speed was displayed. So that's first guard when you notice something when you're entering a speed that, hey, it doesn't match what I'm entering here. Huh?
Mm-hmm. I always go back to a term that was used a lot in my flying career is like a TLAR. That looks about right. So in other words, like with your experience, when you look at you compute a value and then you're supposed to enter that value. And if you're looking at your airspeed indicator with whatever speed bugs or whatever are either generated electronically or, in the case of several of the airplanes I flew, actual physical little bug that you would move on the outer part of the airspeed indicator. If that doesn't look about right, then you should go, is that right? Like, that can't be right. I mean, we're almost at our maximum weight. Why is that speed bug showing so low? I mean, that should have been something that was caught by both of them. In my
oh yeah,
opinion.
absolutely, I agree, Jeff. But yeah, we did the same things, and with experience, you built up a kind of database, didn't you, of situations. I'm going off to Hong Kong. I'm going to be pretty heavy. I'm going to need these kind of speeds, and we just called it gross error checking. So you notice an error. Well, that's a bit much, or that's a bit light. Let's go back and check that. But it seems to me that if they'd had the time to do that, they wouldn't have messed up the entry of those figures in the first place, because it sounds like they didn't follow the procedure in entering those numbers, which required the pilot monitoring to read them out, the captain, in this case, the pilot flying, to enter them, and then an independent check that the numbers had gone in correctly. It sounds like the pilot flying did it all by himself, and the first officer was doing something else. So
making arrangements for his date.
And even, I don't know how it was with you, Nick, that even before startup procedures, before you're starting the engines, you were reading these numbers. In my case, I think the captain was reading the numbers of his FMS, and the co-pilot has to confirm and say them again, but reading them from the EFB. So
yes, we used to do that almost twice. So one pilot would do his reading and the other one would check, and then the other pilot would read his numbers, and then the captain or whoever would check. Yes, you're right. And I'm sure other airlines have slightly different procedures, but they're so important, those numbers. You just stop doing anything else and you just concentrate on doing that job, and then you can relax and talk about what you're going to do that night, how many chicks you're going to chase and how much beer you're going to drink. But just at that moment, good disciplined flight deck procedures should be enacted. The other thing I thought was a bit mean about this, they seem to put an awful lot of emphasis on the co-pilot and his actions, which I thought was a bit unfair. So I'm going, they're laying it on a bit thick for him. So I wonder how senior the captain was.
Yeah. Or if he was like maybe a management pilot.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I thought.
Yeah, Pilot Dad in our live audience says TLAR useful for backsetting QNH too. He's talking about altimeter settings. Yeah, anytime, especially if you're on the ground and you're setting the altimeter setting and whatever the readout is doesn't really jive with your elevation, then that's another thing. Wait a minute, that can't be right. I think that's what he means. Yeah.
I was just trying to look up the registration TF. What does that mean? I mean, from what country is that TF? I was
What's
not
that?
successful. It's not TC. TC is Turkish, I think, and TF is. I'm sorry, I'm not fast enough here.
Let's see here.
Iceland. It's Iceland. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
because
okay.
the company is
Icelandic,
Atlanta, Icelandic, Boeing.
Yeah, I was thinking about when you were talking about there might be a seniority, maybe it's because some more Eastern carrier they have a more reputation of being that way.
No.
But not Icelandic. No, that's not. I wouldn't say so. No.
Now, I'm guessing there's no tail strike sensor at the back of the 747-400, but they gave it a fair whack. Now, to be fair, there's no cabin crew in the back of the airplane to go, oi! It was a great big bang when you you took off. But I'm a bit surprised that they, after all that had gone on, stick shaker, a little bit of over rotation, long time to unstick, needed a check forward, and then re-rotate, whatever, that they carried on. And of course, for those people who aren't experienced in this sort of thing, once you climb up, and the aircraft starts pressurizing, if you've damaged the skin of the aircraft and it's inside the pressure vessel that is going to pressurize, you've got the risk of blowing a hole and depressurizing and having a lot of problems. I don't know how much. I'm pretty certain the whole of the fuselage, even though it's a freighter, pressurizes on this machine. But I was kind of amazed that they just carried on regardless without thinking, we should probably go back now.
If you look at the picture, you see where they were lucky because it barely scratches a little bit of the APU doors. I mean, that's not pressurized. And the last the inches there of the tail cone, it's not pressurized as well. So they were lucky that they only, you're right, if there would have been much more from the whole hull itself affected, then there would have been double lucky, I guess, when they made the fly. Yeah. But my hope is that we're not going to see in the future things like that, because most modern aircraft, I think right now all production aircraft of Airbus, they have all the features. When you enter a number which doesn't make sense because of the gross weight, you enter a VR speed which is below a certain value, they just give you an alarm. They say, no, don't do that. And even better airplanes or more modern airplanes, they even have, if you're selecting too low thrust, they will yell at you and say, "Hey, takeoff thrust is not sufficient." The warning. So maybe in the future we'll see that very.
Yeah, we get a lot more of these sort of dynamic indications and warnings, and you had them on the 380, didn't you, Stefan? For runway, for landing and runway length, and would warn you if you had insufficient runway length and that sort of thing, which must have been very useful if you were going into a bit of a tight airport.
Yeah. Takeoff monitoring system. By 60 knots, it would yell at you and said, runway is not sufficient or thrust not sufficient.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Nice. I don't recall when we initially covered this, what time of day, could have, was it super early in the morning, or had they at the end of a very long duty day, or whatever, that fatigue might have been a factor here too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, okay. No. Okay. Let's do that then. All right. Well, then, sticking with the 787 Dreamliner fleet and news items related to that fleet, we're going to do this item from Paddle Your Own Canoe. A safety group calls for Boeing 787 Dreamliner fleet grounding over dangerous design defect. the largest passenger rights group in the United States, has called on the FAA to take urgent action to address what it describes as a dangerous design defect in many Boeing 787 Dreamliners, which could cause water to leak from the restrooms and damage flight-critical equipment. Although Paul Hudson, president of Flyers' Rights, wrote to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy about his concerns in a letter that was co-signed by 7 aviation safety experts, the FAA has yet to respond. Let's see. So, in 2023, the FAA set about creating a rulemaking that would require airlines to carry out frequent inspections of the lavatories on their Boeing 787 Dreamliner fleets after it was discovered that water could leak into the electronic equipment bays located underneath the restrooms. Ugh. The issue came to light after an unidentified airline reported significant concerns to the FAA about multiple water leaks coming from sink faucets in their 787s. The airline first discovered a wet carpet close to the flight deck and carried out work to trace the source of the water. Turned out that a faulty O-ring in the faucet control module was the reason behind the leak. While these water leaks were normally quite minor, there were cases where a significant amount of water could escape without anyone being aware of an issue. In its notice of proposed rulemaking, the FAA warned that if the issue wasn't addressed, the water could leak into flight-critical electrical equipment, which could result in the loss of continued safe flight and landing. The FAA initially ordered airlines to carry out frequent inspections, but last year the agency created a new rule that requires airlines to replace the faucet control module on affected planes with a redesigned version that doesn't leak. In addition, airlines, so that's even, I guess, a more significant requirement than just replacing O-rings, but like just completely replacing the faucet control module. In addition, airlines are also required to install moisture management devices underneath Dreamliner lavatories, just in case there is a leak that goes undetected. I think that's like a big giant Tupperware container thing that they stick under there
yes.
to, catch all the water. I don't know. Yeah, a big old bucket. Let's see. Paul Hudson from Flyers' Rights is concerned about that the FAA has been far too generous in the amount of time it has given airlines to comply with the new airworthiness directive, as affected carriers have until 2030 to complete the modifications. We're recording this in 2026. This is a quote from him. This is a serious safety concern that requires immediate corrective action. We cannot wait 5 years merely hoping that there's not another electrical failure aboard a packed Boeing 787-9. However, his concerns have been backed up by Ed Pearson, Executive Director for the Foundation of Aviation Safety, who said he was disgusted by the FAA proposed compliance time. And then the article continues on with some speculation that, was water or a water leak responsible for the first fatal crash of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner?
That's a bit of a stretch.
Earlier. Yeah, I agree, but I guess anything's possible.
The NTSB hasn't got involved in this then?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand their concerns. It takes me back to an issue we had on the 340. The area where you put your flight bag down beside your seat had a tray which sort of contained the flight bag and stopped it sliding around. And right in front of your flight bag, on the end of this tray, above it, was a cup holder. And, of course, you come in there and the cabin crew would give you an Airbus approved cup that fitted the cup holder. No other cup would fit the cup holder. And the standard Airbus cups are not like your usual walking around coffee cup with a spill-proof lid on top. It's just a mug. So when the cabin crew came in with the cup, you put it in your cup holder and then hit some turbulence. And, of course, the coffee or the tea would spill out. And it would go down onto this tray underneath your flight bag. So you wouldn't be able to see it. It would just sit there. But they cleverly drilled some holes in this tray to drain. And those holes drained the fluid straight down into the electronic bay underneath the flight deck.
Brilliant.
And, eventually it happened that there was sufficient coffee on one bumpy flight across to New York. I know because I was sitting at New York waiting to pick up that aeroplane and take it back, and they were delayed because they had this massive electrical problem. And there's one thing you do not want on a 340, and that's lots of weird things happening with your electrics because it gets very confusing and the checklists are long and complicated. But it turned out that the liquid had actually caused a short circuit inside one of the transformer rectifier units or one of the buzz control units, and it had all gone a bit haywire, and it took them 20 minutes to sort the airplane out until they get it into configuration to land safety. All the time I was sitting there drumming my fingers in the Virgin Lounge at JFK, going, I wonder where the boys are. They're still, they get later and later. Anyway, that was another issue, but I don't think anyone ever really addressed it. I personally addressed it by finding a Starbucks coffee mug that was narrow enough to jam into the Airbus approved cup holder, and that one had a spill-proof lid. But I don't think everyone did that, and I'm still probably think to this day, if you're flying in a 340, there's a possibility of this happening again.
Well, Pilot Dad in our live audience obviously is an Airbus pilot as well. He says it took years to find a coffee flask that fits those cup holders. Apparently, they're designed to hold a standard 330 milliliter Coke can perfectly.
Oh, okay. I never tried that, but I mean, yeah, that would probably still splash out and leak. The nice thing about something with a lid on it is, you can contain your liquids, and that's very important for a pilot.
I was scratching my head. You had I sent in the WhatsApp in our group. I sent it the way I got my coffee. So maybe you got something. I got a nice glass and a spoon, and I had a table, and there was my cappuccino on top of it. So that's weird. You have a mug next to you? How cheap? I mean, honestly.
Well, of course, if you ask nicely, the cabin crew would actually sit beside you and feed you your food and coffee, and rub your shoulders while you were doing the hard job of flying thousands of miles. But no, you must have had cup holders in the 380.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. We did. But I don't know if we also had a big hole where you could put a whole bottle in it too.
No. There was indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
There was a big bottle-shaped thing you could slide a bottle in.
Slide a 1.5 liter bottle in it. That's
exactly. And we were given very strict instructions to use that correctly, because during one landing, a bottle that had been left on the floor behind the pilots rolled, as you brake, it rolled forwards all the way under the rudder pedals, and when they came to try and steer the airplane, they're going, I can't turn right, Captain.
Ooh, that's not good.
Not good, because there was this damn great big bottle of water jammed under the rudder pedals.
Oh, okay. Not good at all. Okay. Hey, well, we're about to go to the Get to Know Us segment, but before we do, we're going to bring in Alpha Juliet. Looks like he has made it home from work today, and or maybe he's not ready. Okay, there he is. Hey,
there he is.
How's it going?
Nice to see you.
You're home. I'm very impressed. It's just a little after 4:00 Eastern time, and you fought the Friday afternoon traffic pretty well.
They probably haven't even realized I've left yet.
Ah. Are you
using your phone? Have you turned your phone off so they can't call you back?
I've been having a lot of phone problems exactly around the times when they call me. Yeah. It's very strange.
Excellent.
All right. Well, welcome, Alpha Juliet, and we'll hear more from you in our Getting to Know Us segment, which is what we're about to do right now. Here we go. I'm going to hit that button. Getting to Know Us segment, where we get to know what has been going on, what's been happening with everybody on the show here between, the last time they were on the show. So I think that Captain Stefan, you probably have the most the most things that have happened to you, I would imagine, because it's been a while since you've been with us. And so why don't you tell us what you've been up to, sir?
It was more than 2 months ago. I mean, how much time you have in your show here? Yeah.
Well,
No.
I mean, just abbreviate it, I guess.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, I turned 60. So,
Hooray!
hey, so I'm now officially an old
Congratulations.
fart. And it's winter. I mean, we do also have some. You don't want to mention the weather, but the weather here is cold as well, and so it was affecting a lot of flights, which I was doing my training flights I was giving, and so basically flying wise, I basically logged maybe only 15 hours in the last. In the last 2.5 months. So there's, from this side, it's not very much to say. And otherwise, no big vacation. Just riding happily along, and the food still tastes good. That's when someone asks me how I'm feeling, I say the food tastes still good.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's it?
You had, yeah. Lots.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You-
lots of
yeah.
parties. I mean, I have in the January alone. We have 15 birthday parties, including mine, my mom, and my stepmom, and this and that. So it's very busy. That's why I couldn't join you, because if you do your shows in the evening, for example, January is a no-go, and then there's Christmas and all these celebrations, and you know that. And we were visiting Athens, where I lost my hat in December. So
Oh, no.
yeah, I lost my APG hat, so I cannot show it around anymore in the world, you know.
So here's the real deal. He just ran out of family members to claim, he had to go to their parties. So finally he just ran out and said, okay, I guess I'm available for this show today.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That must be an
No, we're
expensive
sorry.
month if you've got to buy 15 birthday presents.
It was. And especially giving our own big party for everybody. That was the most expensive party, though.
Wow. Well, congratulations on your 60th birthday, sir. Welcome to the 60s. I'm still there myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Very good.
Only just.
Who would like to go next? Alpha Juliet, would you like to proceed, sir?
I can.
Okay.
First, I just want to make sure we highlight Tim's comment there. That's very important.
Tim
All
Van
the
Ram
best
says
people have
all the
January
best people
birthdays.
have January birthdays.
I concur.
I think it's probably the worst month in the year to have a birthday. No one has any money after Christmas.
Well,
they've
mine's the day
spent
after
it all,
Christmas.
so they come
It's
around to
even worse.
January, and what are you going to get a satsuma wrapped up in a bit of brown paper or something? Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the unwanted Christmas presents gifted.
There is the benefit sometimes of the combined present if you leverage it correctly.
Yeah, but then you don't get anything for 11 months. Come on.
Trust me, AJ. I know the combo Christmas birthday gift thing. Yeah. I know it well.
Well, for me, as far as getting to know us, it's been kind of a relatively boring week. Tried to go flying Wednesday, and there was all that, fun, beautiful icing weather, so I didn't do that. Then was going to go flying on Thursday. Same story. So somebody else went and picked up the airplane that was stranded today. So hopefully get some flying in on Sunday. Going to go down the Georgia wing of the Commemorative Air Force, which is they fly all the warbirds and maintain them and restore old airplanes and stuff like that, is having kind of an open house kind of deal on Sunday afternoon. So I got some friends getting together. We're going to fly down there to Falcon Field. Should be a good time. And I'm going to try not to spend a whole bunch of money tomorrow going down to the Dallas Safari Club Outdoor Expo. Hunting, fishing, outdoors. It's at the Georgia World Congress Center, so it should be a pretty big, kind of a big deal. We'll see. Yep, but they tempted me with a free day pass, so Yeah,
you got to go and spend some money.
Yeah, right. So,
yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Pretty kind of routine week other than that. No. It was depressingly tiny.
Well, forecasts were, you know how models and forecasts go, up to 3 inches here in the metro area where AJ and I live. I know it is for us, but we just kind of got a little bit of a dusting where I live and where Alpha Juliet lives. But you know, it's okay. Actually, sometimes that's a blessing, you know, because we're not really equipped to handle much more than a dusting here. It kind of paralyzes everything. So, yeah. Anyway, and I don't have any young ones to go out and play in the snow and sled and make snowballs and snowmen and that kind of thing. So
that is kind of the depressing part when the kids have a snow day with no snow.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't a worry for me. So anyway, I might as well go. I really haven't been doing much at all except for, you know, like staying inside mostly because the not only wintry precipitation forecast or experienced icing to begin with, and then a little tiny bit of snow, but the temperatures, especially for the southeastern U.S., have been extremely cold, especially with the wind chill factors and everything else. So not a lot of time spent outside. I know it's not quite the same as the Great White North, but at least you guys kind of expect to get kind of cold weather this time of year. Let's see. Sang at a funeral this morning and sang at masses that I normally sing last weekend, and will continue to do so this weekend, and also added we'll have an extra little thing, a wedding that I'm singing at tomorrow before the vigil mass. So yeah, just the singing thing mostly, and editing, and I've been hitting the gym a little bit more recently, and am finding or realizing that there are muscles that haven't been used in decades, and it's been interesting. I'm trying to keep myself in shape as best I can. So that's pretty much it for me.
How are the pelvic floor exercises coming on?
Oh, perfect. No problem with my pelvic floor, sir.
Oh, good. Yeah, excellent. Well done. Bladder control, yeah, it's good.
Good bladder control.
Excellent. I'm very impressed.
Speaking of bladder control devices.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing happens here except it rains. Since we're mainly covering weather, it has poured incessantly for a couple of weeks, and we've got a couple of weeks more. Did have a nice sunny day the other day and played the whole afternoon of petanque in the dry because, playing in the wet is fine. It's no problem if you've got the right gear on, but playing in the dry is lovely. It's nice. Anyway, that's me. Show, there we go. Look at that. Isn't it? I enjoyed this one. Okay, we had some great suggestions for the artwork last week. A farewell old friend for the MD-11 retirement. Ice not nice. Don't need no stinking pilot. But the one I liked very much was the N number or Jeff number, which the Jeff number is, or the J number. Yeah, I like Jeff number personally because who knows what a J number means? We all know what a Jeff number is the special number you get for like exceeding the speed of taxi. And Jeff's number is very high. He can taxi at least half the speed of sound. So I'm very impressed with that. So we had Jeff whizzing along on his Mad Dog. And what's more, the Southwest, he's whizzing by, looking at him in absolute astonishment, is wondering what the hell is going on. Yes, how can someone taxi faster than me? So, wow, what's his Jeff number was the show. We like that. I managed to hide the penguin who's flying this week. We have one of the first, Jackass, it's a flying show, so our Jackass penguin flies. and he's flying along overtaking Captain Jeff. So
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
you need
fast.
to go a little bit faster, Jeff.
Okay.
And I
got
managed
it.
to get. Sorry.
I said, you got it.
Yep, thanks. I managed to get all the other info in one little slide. So you've got the aircraft registration. I think that's what the number accepted is for an APG number for us. APG 693 was it? And the engines you've got. It looks a bit like what is the? Is it G? No, it looks like the wings that. What is the
Pratt &
American?
Whitney.
Pratt and Whitney. It looks a bit like I don't think you had Pratt and Whitney engines, no, but that was the idea. It was
Well,
to
the
look a bit like
88
that.
did have Pratt and Whitney. So yeah.
Oh right, oh there you go. Anyway, this thing, whatever it is, has got the APG logo on the engines because they're obviously extra special APG engines to give Jeff the required taxi speed that he needs. Yeah, the specially uprated engines. So that was last week's
Love it.
artwork.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. No. Yeah, we'll skip the coffee fund for this week. All right. Let's before we do some feedback, we're going to transition into the plain tale. This is quite a treat for us to have another plain tale. And let me see here. Let me get that pulled up. I should have already done that. Sorry. Come on. There we go. Yeah, so we have another installment, my favorites actually, the RAF Form 414, and this time it's Volume 37. So take it away, old pilot.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales, RAF Form 414, Volume 37. I left you with my last tale describing the first time I landed the A340 at Kai Tak Airport in Hong Kong. The astute amongst you will have scoffed as I misspoke, describing the tailwind down the IGS approach towards the checkerboard, giving me a slackening crosswind turn on to finals. It was, of course, tightening, which requires anticipation and a good rate of turn to take your nose through the centerline onto the upwind side of the runway to set up a crab and stop your machine from drifting downwind from the landing area over the car park and towards the apron, leading to an inevitable go-around. The flying gods were with me that day, so apart from a little S-turn to get squarely lined up with the runway, I made a reasonable fist of it and was happy to buy the beers at the hotel bar that night. But not everyone got it right. Good fortune remained with me, and over the next few months I got the required 3 supervised landings, and on the 10th of April 1995, my fleet manager gave me the treasured bit of scruffy virgin cardboard entitled the A340 Hong Kong Landing Authorization to stick into my license. On the back was the approval to carry out transit checks on the A340-300. We'd spent an afternoon with the engineers being shown how to replenish and check the aircraft out on the rare occasions that a suitably authorized Virgin Atlantic Airways ground engineer was not available. I'm very glad that those occasions were very rare. So when after 25 years I hung up my hat for the last time, I'd never needed to employ my dubious skills at performing such duties. The company annals had a few horror stories of en route diversions that had ended up in mild or not so mild disasters. The A340 had some odd refueling issues that led a few crews astray. The system was fully automatic, but on occasions it would throw a wobbly, putting the wrong amount of fuel in the wrong place, typically into the trim tank. This tank sat in the forward part of the tailplane, the bit at the back that did the up and down stuff and gave the designers something to hang the elevators off. The tank could carry nearly 5 tons of fuel, and having a long moment arm, around 100 feet or 30 meters, from the center of gravity, it could have a strong effect on the balance of the aircraft. It was usually fairly empty for takeoff and would be automatically filled during the climb to trim the aircraft out for the cruise. Having filled, as the main tank fuel was burned, the trim tank would slowly transfer its contents forwards so that it was empty as we descended towards our destination. If it failed to do so, the aircraft might go out of CFG limits for landing, leading to pitch instability, a lack of elevator authority, and possibly a tail strike on landing. However, using the trim tank reduced the aircraft's fuel consumption by some 1.5%. If the FCMCs, the fuel control and monitoring computers, got things wrong and messed up the fuel distribution, it would be up to us to get into the maintenance pages of the central maintenance system on the number 3 McDo and start trying to pump fuel around the aircraft. This was fraught with potential F-ups and could result in surge tanks overflowing all over the tarmac. Other hiccups happened following the Air France disaster when they burnt a brand new A340 down to the waterline on the ground in Paris. A self-activating electric hydraulic pump that powered up to allow the cargo doors to close failed to stop after the job was done. Eventually, on a quiet remote stand, the pump overheated and caught fire, setting light to the aircraft and destroying it. As a result, the use of this cargo door activation facility was temporarily banned, and a manual backup was needed. The hiccup was that the lever for the manual pump was kept under a different door to the one that gave access to the yellow system hand pump. So when a diverted aircraft needed to open the cargo door, nobody could find the damn pump handle. Not a complete disaster like the 747 that diverted into Frobisher Bay Airport in Newfoundland, now called Iqaluit, with a medical emergency. Not used to such a big aircraft in their quiet airport, the marshaller guided the aircraft into a refueling stanchion which whacked an engine. The aircraft was grounded for days awaiting an engine change, while the tiny community tried to cope with some 400 extra people, including Prince Michael of Kent and his royal party, and Gary Barlow from Take That. Most of the passengers were accommodated in the local curling rink. The suspected heart attack that they diverted for turned out to be a case of indigestion. Whilst going back and forth to Hong Kong was great fun, a little light relief was available from our other regular Far East destination, Tokyo. Because Hong Kong was a British colony, it was like an exotic home from home, but Japan was something completely different. There were obviously enormous changes to the Japanese culture following the American occupation post-World War II, but it was still wildly different from any other country I'd visited, and I loved it. Sadly, we were flying into Narita Airport, a long way from Tokyo City, but the local town still had much to offer, with hospitable bars and the tiny family-run restaurants that always made us feel welcome. The route we flew to get there was also something completely new. We used any one of perhaps 3 or 4 Siberian routes, starting in northern Scandinavia and tracking over the wilds of the Siberian tundra, often completely covered in ice and snow and with very few en route diversions available. We treated it like a huge ocean. even though we'd been assured that in a dire situation our controllers would find us a piece of concrete to land on in less than 30 minutes. What facilities might be available weren't discussed, but we all thought that getting the aircraft onto an emergency runway might be just the start of our problems. The controllers had a very basic understanding of English and often spoke to us through an interpreter. However, communications were good on VHF frequencies, which changed every 15 or 20 minutes as we passed from one control area to another. VHF radio range is quite short, so we knew that our controllers lived and worked in the remote and harsh terrain we were flying over. We often wondered what their life was like, and if the frequency was quiet, they sometimes chatted to us to practice their English. I was amazed to discover that one controller was living with temperatures on the ground lower than we had at 35,000 feet. Not that we were flying at an altitude measured in feet, as we had to change to metric levels once in their airspace. It was on one of those flights that we had a serious issue with the aircraft. Departing Heathrow, we lost the yellow hydraulic system. The green system was the most important, as it powered the most and the hungriest equipment like the undercarriage, but almost every service was dual-powered, and the yellow was an important secondary system. The skipper asked our opinions on what we should do, and whilst I would probably have pressed on, he brought me back to earth by asking that, now we only had 2 hydraulic systems, what would happen should we lose another one? The answer was that with a single system, we'd have to land as soon as possible, which, over Siberia, might put us in a dire situation with Arctic conditions and no accommodation for the passengers. So we dumped 70 tons of fuel and landed back at Heathrow. A few hours later, we tried again and safely made it to Tokyo, but the lesson wasn't lost on me, and years later, in a very similar situation, I remember returning to Shanghai with a hydraulic failure rather than try to press on across equally hostile terrain. It was after the anniversary of my arrival at Virgin that, after months of getting airborne and turning to the east, I got to head west again, towards the USA. It was annual line check time, and Ding-a-ling was putting me through my paces on a JFK flight. I dredged up my memories of Atlantic crossing procedures, and luckily it was a late summer trip, so not much chance of snow and ice, and I didn't fail, so I guess it went okay. This was followed by 2 months of flying with Captain Chaos, a nickname one white-haired skipper had earned, but after one particular flight it was one I would stop using. More of that later. It was mid-September, and I had a few days off while my father was visiting from Australia. In those days I golfed, so we played around together at my club in Liphook. The course was lovely, winding its way through pine trees and over little streams. The sun was shining, and as the morning wore on, I got progressively warmer and warmer. By the end of 18 holes, I was definitely overheated, not just from the weather, but also because my father had beaten me by several holes on a course he didn't know, and with clubs borrowed from the professional. We wandered into the bar to cool off, and I ordered myself a pint of iced orange juice and lemonade to quench my thirst, and a pint of bitter to enjoy after. Leaning on the bar, I glugged down the ice-cold drink, enjoying the chill of it as it slipped down, when I felt a heavy thump inside my chest. I stopped, feeling a bit dizzy and discombobulated, and put my hand over my heart. I felt nothing, until a moment later, when my heart gave 3 or 4 rapid and hard beats, and then stopped again, before repeating this strange rhythm. I put my fingers on my throat and I could feel my pulse matching this odd cardiac behaviour. But I was still standing, still able to talk, and in no pain, so I quietened my concerns and carried on regardless. For the rest of the day, I quietly kept checking my pulse, and while it felt strange, I was still able to function, but it was giving me concern. The concern turned to real worry as I headed up the stairs to bed that night and found myself completely out of breath after the short climb. The next morning I drove down to see my GP, a no-nonsense ex-army doc, who listened to my story and then listened to my chest. "I'm pretty sure I know what this is," he exclaimed, "but I'm going to give you an ECG to be sure." The paper whirred out of the venerable old machine, and he tutted before picking up the phone to make a call. "I'm sending a patient down to see you. I'd like you to admit him straight away." To me, he said, "I want you to go straight to the King Edward VII Hospital in Midhurst. You'll be admitted into their cardiology unit, and they'll look after you." "Okay," I replied. "I have the car right outside." "Good Lord, man, you're in no condition to drive. I'm calling your wife and she can take you." Which was how I found myself in one of the most beautiful hospitals in the country, strapped to a raft of heart monitors, or whilst gazing out over a gorgeous view of the South Downs, which lay beyond gardens designed by Gertrude Jekyll. The hospital was built just after the turn of the 20th century, in the arts and crafts style, by Adams and Holden to treat wealthy tuberculosis patients who were given a regimen of fresh air, rest and sunshine. As such, they were wheeled out of their rooms onto gorgeous balconies daily to enjoy this natural therapy. Now an NHS General Hospital, while I was enjoying the beauty of my surroundings, I lay there with my heart thumping away in the unnatural rhythm of atrial fibrillation, wondering what would become of my career. I'd called my fleet manager, who'd been very supportive, assuring me not to worry, that my job was secure and that I should concentrate on getting better. Despite his confidence, I knew that this condition might well spell the end of my flying career.
No spoilers, but he still does.
Yeah. I couldn't very well turn that into a really dramatic ending, could I? No. Yeah, it was just another hiccup in my life, and I've had a few, so I was very pleased when I got through that. Sorry,
Yeah,
Liz, what was that? I was barely 40, 41, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fairly young for this kind of thing, which is, I think, why I was given a medical back. And they knew exactly why it happened. But it was, you know, the nerve that controls the beating of the heart goes down the back of the heart, and the beat is controlled by the top half. The atrium. So when your esophagus goes down the back and you drink a very cold drink, and this is warning to anyone who's prone to AF, the change in temperature can upset that nerve and upset its ability to transfer the steady heartbeat that you normally require.
So
then
just drink a really hot drink.
Yeah.
Or don't drink ice cold beer.
Once you're locked in, that's good. That's why we drink warm beer here. Once you're locked into F, you're likely to stay there. Your heart's pretty clever, because if it doesn't get this signal, it has kind of an emergency backup, which is where you get the pause, lots of heavy heartbeats, big bangs, and then another pause while it waits to see if the atrium's going to talk to it again. But anyway, more of that in the next one. I'll explain a bit about that. But anyway,
the moral I took
moral?
from that story was not don't drink beer. It was don't drink lemonade.
yeah, that is the moral. Yes, only drink beer.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly right.
So I didn't realize that that's the reason why the beer is not ice cold in Britain. It's to avoid.
Oh, well, it
this
is
kind
for
of
me, yeah.
situation.
By the way, when I finally got my medical back, the guy said there are a few things you need to avoid, and one of those is binge drinking, because that will cause AF, atrial fibrillation. So
It'll cause AF.
yes, yes, yes,
Yes, Stefan.
yes.
Here's a non-native English speaker again. Binge drinking. What's that?
Oh, that's where you
Like
drink.
normal drinking in Germany.
Yes, it's perfectly normal German drinking. For
Okay.
those of the
Like
rest
just
of the
drinking
world,
mass
it's
quantities.
yes, drinking large quantities in a short period.
Okay. Oktoberfest,
For a
you
long
mean?
time.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
That's exactly what it is. Yes.
Nice.
Also, committing exercise when you're suffering from a virus or feeling too tired. That was another common cause of AF.
So drinking beer and no exercise. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, drink warm beer. Don't do exercise.
I've been following this regimen for years.
Well, you're very
No
healthy as
wonder
an
you're
ox.
so healthy.
This explains everything.
You'll probably
Excellent.
die of something else, but just not a heart problem. That's it.
Yeah,
We all got to
very
die of
much so.
something.
By the
Yeah,
way,
that's
they gave me a drug that was invented by the Romans and is made from foxgloves, the plant. Very
I
good.
didn't know that foxes wear gloves. That's
There
interesting.
you go, foxgloves, called digitalis. And that was the cure. Oh,
They only wear
magic.
gloves when they're sneaking around in hen houses.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
well, they need to hide their fingerprints.
Yeah.
The German name for that is Fingerhut, means head. Yeah, Fingerhut.
Finger
It's a hat. Finger hat. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, very
Digitalis.
good.
That's why. Okay.
Good job.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I guess that is. It's always a treat to hear the plain tale. So thank you for that, and I can't wait to hear the follow-on to this issue that you're experiencing at this point in your life. And yeah, so thank you, sir. And I guess it's now time for us to do a little bit of feedback before we end this episode. So I'm going to hit this a little bit.
Captain, incoming message.
We're going to start. Yeah, let me do that, and then explain. Yeah, okay. We're going to start off our feedback with this from Martin Kemp. NOTAMs visible en route. Hey, Jeff. Heard the call out on your show for flight feedback. Yeah, so I didn't want to specifically use Martin's name just in case he wasn't listening anymore, or maybe he didn't want or have any interest in joining us on the show. And yeah, so we were talking that I guess this is related to the accident of the helicopter where the guy and his three nieces died after they hit a slack line earlier in the day. His wedding was scheduled for later that day. It was a very sad, tragic story. We're talking about NOTAMs, and I think it was who was it that sent in the feedback regarding erbium? No. Yeah. Let's see. Carter Boswell maybe was talking about the possibility of making some improvements to the NOTAM system, specifically with the flight system. And I thought, I know somebody, but I don't want to call him out by name. So this is in response to that. So Martin sent this, heard the call out, put the bat signal out there. And he said, conveniently, we're just about to release, Jeppesen ForeFlight is about to release FD Pro 5.2 that includes graphical NOTAMs on the airport and the en route map. ForeFlight Mobile also has the ability to display the NOTAMs on the map. I'd be happy to come on the show to talk about the challenges we face, but also the efforts we're putting in to address them. Again, this is Martin Kemp. Now, just some inside baseball. Actually, Martin was we were going to have him on the show today to join us so he could kind of talk about this and we could ask him some questions and that kind of thing as a guest host. But he needs to make sure that he clears some things with his company first before, knowing exactly what he can say and what he can't say, of course, is important. But he does want to join us. He had already, we sent him all the information about how to join us, and he's already checked out his audio and video equipment and everything else. He's ready. He's good to go. So hopefully we'll have Martin on the show with us sometime soon in the future. So that's cool. I'm so happy to hear. Obviously, he's still an active listener because it was just the last episode that we talked about this. So great. It's always good to hear. All right. That's from Martin. And we have some feedback from Sam Bolog, who is in our live audience with us today. And I am trying to find my keynote display here. And if you'll put that on the big board there, and Miss Liz. Okay, Sam sent this in, and the title of his feedback is "Funyuns are awesome." He said, "Check out this video, Funyun scene Breaking Bad." Excuse me. So here we go. We're gonna play this now.
3 entire bags of Funyuns.
Funyuns are awesome.
Yes, they are. That's a scene from Breaking Bad inside the RV motorhome that he was at the beginning of the series starting to use as his lab for making meth, and then he graduated into much more sophisticated laboratories, not involving moving vehicles. I would rather not talk about it, Liz. Let's don't talk about my RV and what I've been up to. I do. I eat a lot of Funyuns on my RV. Anyway, so this scene is, what's the character's name again? White. His last name is White, right?
Walter White.
Walter White, thank you. Who is the lead character of Breaking Bad, and he's kind of looking down at, what was that character's name? Does anybody remember?
Jesse.
Jesse? Is that Jesse? Okay.
Wow. Got a fan
talking
here.
about Funyuns, and
I've seen it.
Yeah. So let's listen to it one more time. What do you think? I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
3 entire bags of Funyuns.
Funyuns are awesome.
So I guess he's like looking at some of the provisions that Jesse brought along in the RV, and 3 large bags of Funyuns. So that is cool. I'm going to have to make that into a sound effect, Sam. Funyuns are awesome. All right. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, Errol, our Funyun guy. He's our Funyun manager. Okay. Next up is feedback from Les Yaw. And the title of his, or the subject line is Famous Folk Who Are Pilots. Hi, friends. Trucker Les out driving in frozen Minnesota. Hope the sunny skies are warming you all. I found an interesting list of famous folk who are pilots. It's a C-link to a wiki page, which we have here and we'll have in the show notes. One in particular is featured on each APG episode.
Captain, incoming message.
The golden voice of Michael Dorn, who is Worf on Star Trek Next Generation, who announces without flaw nor fail, Captain, incoming message. Got the flying bug when he was invited to fly with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. A member of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, Michael Dorn is an accomplished pilot. He has flown with the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. He has owned several jet aircraft, including a Lockheed T-33 Shooting Star, which he jokingly refers to as his starship, a North American F-86 Sabre, and currently owns a North American Sabreliner. Dorn also serves on several aviation organizations, one of which is the Air Force Aviation Heritage Foundation, where he is on the advisory board. Dorn was interviewed for the Private Jets episode of Modern Marvels on the History Channel. Cool. So again, he owns or has owned Lockheed T-33 Shooting Star, North American F-86 Sabre, and he currently owns a Saberliner. And so anyway, there was more. He sent in some pictures as well. Thank you for that,
He's
Les.
definitely got a certain type that he likes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shiny and
fast.
A jet.
Well, the Saberliner was basically developed off of the F-86.
Oh, really?
The wings and the tail were pulled right off of it, basically.
Interesting. Well, when they pull them off the other one, then it's hard for the other one to fly.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, very good. Thank you very much, Les, for that info. That's kind of cool.
Stefan's putting his hand up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm not looking. Steph, you just got to
Stefan,
speak
we're
up,
all
man.
grown-ups. You don't have to raise your hand.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt because it's fascinating for me as a European that it's possible for private persons to own ex-fighter jets. How? I mean, is it possible in UK, Captain Nick?
Well, yeah, there's a privately owned. I don't know if it's in the UK. There's a Lightning down in South Africa, but yeah, there's some jet trainers that are owned privately here in the UK. But I don't know if they're, you'd count them as a jet fighter. Not really.
Okay. It's always amazed me. Great respect that it's possible to do that. I mean, I don't think that's no.
Wasn't the last flying Vulcan privately owned? But, I mean,
it was, the Vulcan,
Yeah.
I suppose they didn't. It wasn't really a jet fighter, but they could have packed 21 500-pound bombs in it and gone and had a military coup.
That could
have
been
over a small country somewhere.
Yes, the Vulcan.
Yeah, and
thankfully,
Stefan, out here we do these things called jet blasts, where everybody just brings their classic fighter jets, go do formation flights and all kinds of, silly pilot things.
Wacky stuff.
Yeah, very good.
Crazy here.
I have some friends who participate in those from Europe. They keep their jets in the U.S. because of how much more difficult it is.
Yeah. I
Germany,
imagine that.
Switzerland, UK.
We're a bunch of cowboys here.
Yeah.
And we have more fun with them anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine if we were to fly around, you would get so many noise reports. Yeah.
That's why we put the tail number on it. Very, very small.
Okay.
Hard to get it.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Again, thank you, Les, for that feedback. We're going to move on with this next one from Mistress Aliyah. Aliyah. I like my pronunciation better. Aliyah. Yeah. Well. Okay.
I don't think the Novocaine wore off.
Aliyah.
Here's the. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Aliyah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. Beautiful. Okay. Subject line, well, we all thought chemtrails would never happen. Hello to all the crew. I cannot believe I'm about to say this. I was alarmed to learn that there's a program to dim the sunlight. Plus, it's backed by the UK government. Yeah, figures. And others, etc. I always thought it was all conspiracy talk, etc. But the strangest thing is the name of this process or program is Satan. He said, who the you-know-what is coming up with the silliness? Attached is a link to the story. And the story is from deepnews.com. Okay. Keep up the good work. Speak soon. Warm regards, Mistress Aya.
Based on context clues, wouldn't that be she said?
Well, they said. Okay. So this, I'm trying to watch them. Okay. UK's ARIA, I guess, allocates £800 million for sun dimming geoengineering with £450,000. Okay. Huh? CEO, Bill Gates funding and heat wave risk. Well, that's not a very good headline. Or maybe I just misread it. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. The UK's Advanced Research and Invention Agency, ARIA, or ARIA, I like to say, a government-backed organization, has come under scrutiny for allocating 800 million pounds of taxpayer money towards geoengineering experiments aimed at dimming the sun to combat global warming. The agency CEO reportedly receives a salary. Oh, here we go. Now it makes sense. A salary of 450,000 pounds. These experiments involve dispersing particles into the atmosphere while utilizing existing aircraft such as the Boeing 777 freighter, with a study from University College London estimating the release of 12 million tons of particles to cool the Earth. That's a lot. However, experts have raised concerns about unintended consequences, you think? Including the possibility that such geoengineering efforts designed to reduce high temperatures in California could inadvertently intensify heat waves in Europe. The initiative has attracted funding from private sources, including billionaire Bill Gates. Critics highlight the contrast between this investment and ongoing public service challenges in the UK, such as the National Health Service and infrastructure issues. The government's commitment to this controversial approach has sparked debate about the feasibility and risks of solar radiation management as a climate intervention strategy. British politicians are now openly talking about geoengineering and how it's supposedly a good thing. Some years ago, researchers sprayed sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere to block the sun. They called the project Satan. The UK, I mean, is somebody doing that for a joke? I mean, who in their right mind would actually purposely use a name like Satan for a project? That is weird. The UK is a country with the 5th lowest amount of annual sunshine hours in the world, but the Labour government that wants to plaster farmland with huge solar panel developments while spending 50 million pounds on experiments to dim the sun. You can't make this sort of stuff up. I don't know. Do we know anybody, Liz, that we could have on the show that lives in the? Oh, wait a minute, Captain Nick. What? I don't. You must have been biting your lip. Well. Oh wait. Oh, he's gone. How did that happen? I guess maybe some kind of a solar flare hit Captain Nick in England. Oh, and there he is. He's back.
It's the second A is little, so it's not Satan like Satan. It's the Stratospheric Aerosol Transport and Nucleation Project.
Oh yeah, well, so they didn't purposely try to make it Satan. Okay.
No.
I have no idea. I know nothing about this. All I know is something to do with balloons, which we all know is very dangerous. So
that's
I don't
sketchy.
necessarily agree with that. But I mean, this was 10, 12 years ago. This is not exactly new, and I believe it was just
2021 is what this is saying.
Really? Well, I was looking back at an article of 2005.
Yeah, well, so they're talking about what they used to do or what they had tried.
I think the balloon thing
now the new
was
one is
just a tiny trial to see what sort of an effect it would have. And it's ludicrous for the UK to be concerned about this, because anything we put in the atmosphere over the UK is going to be over Russia before you know about it. So, we don't. Our air doesn't go south. Our air generally goes east. So Germany doesn't really need to worry too much.
No, they have their diesels and they cheat anyhow, so don't worry about it.
I think you'll find it's part of a much larger project, not just the UK. We just happen to be showing an interest in it because they've talked about it. Actually, either putting stuff into the air to shield the Earth from the sun to reduce global warming. But of course, a lot of people have said, well, hang on a minute, what happens at night? And of course, that's the time that the Earth radiates its heat away. And if you put a layer in the atmosphere that is blocking sunlight coming in, it might act like a blanket and prevent heat from being radiated away. It's the atmosphere is a complex and largely misunderstood phenomena around the UK, around the world. So I don't think people. And what's more, what you do over your country isn't going to be over your country very long. It's going to affect the rest of the world pretty damn quick. So this is going to be a global initiative, not just the UK.
Yeah.
But There you go. It's interesting. Funnily enough, I think they come in at two different frequencies. The sunlight coming in directly comes in at one frequency, and the reflected one goes out at a different frequency. So I guess if you change the particle size, you could affect incoming and not outgoing.
Conspiracy theory.
Heat.
The Earth is a repeater. It's a radio repeater. That's all it is.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Well, perhaps it'll protect against that as well. Stop the radio waves from leaving.
So how many flights would it take for a Boeing 777 freighter to release 12 million tons of particles?
Good question.
And will that
More than
compensate the carbon dioxide it will produce doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
True.
That's another good question. There's lots of good questions and no
Lots of good
answers.
questions. No answer.
Yeah.
Right. People don't come here to the show for answers, Stefan.
Yeah.
They come here for just the questions.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a global warming expert somewhere out there in the internet who'll tell us where we're going wrong.
Yeah.
We're going green. We're going green.
We're going to take care of the Earth by putting out 12 million tons of particles.
Yeah.
I think they're a little ways away because according to this report, the one they did in 2022, they released a whopping total of 400 grams.
Ooh.
Wow. Wait, 400 grams?
Grams, not kilograms. Grams.
Wow. It's like, I don't know what to say.
Not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot.
I don't think we have to worry quite yet.
Don't worry about your sunshine yet, Captain.
Yeah.
No. In fact, I'm just looking to see where did this article come from initially?
Deep New with a Z at the end. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
kind of a clue.
I think they're struggling. They're a bit like us struggling for news items.
That's where I go for all my hard-hitting news.
Deepnews.com. Yeah, that's where I go to. All right. Well, thank you, Mistress, for sending that in. That was entertaining, and we'll have a link to the actual article in the show notes. And let's, okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up. It's going to be a nice short show for you. You're welcome. Oh, we're that close to the end? Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, haven't we got one that'll last 5 minutes?
No. We're saving something for Dr. Steph. So, all right. Let's do that. Let's wrap it up. And the first thing that we want to do is to point you over to our website, where you'll find information about the crew and the community, and a calendar and merchandise, and more information about the Plain Tales, a library, believe it or not, for those who like reading mostly aviation-related books, and so much more. So please go over to airlinepilotguy.com. Check it out. And we're also on the social media.
And Facebook.
No, it's Stefan's turn. He's never here. He has to do
Stefan,
it.
You do it,
Stefan,
sir.
yeah, your job.
Okay, you can go over to facebook.com airline pilot guy, or you're still at X at APG crew, and of course you can visit APG at instagram.com/APG crew, or well, last not least, you go to youtube.com airline pilot guy.
That's
Was
where
it
we are
good?
right now.
Right, good job,
Okay.
Stefan.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? We also have something called Slack. A bunch of slackers involved in this group of people. Here's the biggest slacker right here. Hey, hello. Can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Come on over here in front of the microphone. Watch all the water, please. And next time, could you please put a towel around yourself? Thank you. So he's going to tell us all about it.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, man.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Oh, no. Wow. Okay. He's a little frisky today, I guess. And
Okay.
yeah, so we'd like to thank you again, Captain Stefan, for joining us today. Always great
my
to
pleasure.
see you. Oh, but before we move on to the very end of the show, of course, we want to applaud for our producer, Miss Liz, for all the hard work that she does each and every week, mostly before the show, putting it all together. And so thank you very much for that. And also our live audience, our live chat room, each and every week, helping support us and entertain us. So, yeah. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the show and tell you, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and talons, Douglas.
Oh,
I
you're muted.
don't hear you, Captain Nick.
Womp womp.
Oh, sorry, I just didn't put my voice on activate. Yeah. Bye, everybody.
You're welcome.
See you next time.
Can we start again?
Well, yeah, let's try this again.
Trying this
okay, we're gonna
one
go.
more time.
Nick and AJ, Captain Stefan, and then Liz.
Okay.
Okay, but me first, actually.
Yeah.
Wishing clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Bye, everybody.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye, everyone.
See you next time.
I was hoping you would say, Auf Wiedersehen.
Wow, we got to do it again now.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Take 3.
Take it. Talons, Douglas.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
That is so Nick.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Got to it before I did.
Oh, everybody was going to say Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Let's all say it.
Okay.
Wait,
well, I
wait,
would
wait.
say choose.
I was going to say that one next.
Shoot. This is the most fun of the show.
I don't have another one.
Wishing you
Go
clear
ahead.
skies, unlimited visibility, and talons, Douglas. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Danke.
Feeling good.
Oh, that was great.
Good.
All right. Show titles. Here we go, Nick.
Oh, God, hang on a minute. Let me get my bit of paper
Doesn't it
up.
have to be Auf Wiedersehen?
Auf Wiedersehen,
Auf
pet.
Wiedersehen.
Okay.
All right. Don't scrape your tail. Don't scrape that tail.
I could have a dog rubbing its bum along
Exactly.
the carpet, couldn't
Yeah,
I?
Then we have the APG exercise routine, which is sitting down and drinking cold beverages.
Warm beverages.
Warm
beer.
beverages, whatever.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. well,
Whatever.
Foxes in gloves. We have some foxes in gloves.
Mhm.
Funyuns are awesome.
Oh, you're getting a bit fast. How fast do you think I can type?
Yeah, slow it down, babe.
Foxes in gloves.
Yeah. The APG Air Force. So all of you guys have your own private fighter jets. The APG Air Force.
Okay.
Okay. And dimming the sun. I don't know if we want to do that, but
Yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I love it.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
With 400 grams.
Look at
somewhere in
here's main man Micah is never can say goodbye, which we couldn't do today. Good one, Micah. Can you work with any of those, Nick?
Nope.
Okay, well, too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a good show. It was great to have you here, Stefan. The other guys,
good
I'm not
job.
so sure it was great to have you
No,
here, but you were
thanks.
here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Always
Of course,
appreciate your
naturally. Natürlich. Selbstverständlich. Gerne.
Yeah,
What he said.
what he said, exactly.
What she said.
Swoosh. Swoosh.
All
Cool.
right, everybody.
Okay, recorders are off, and I've already saved the
Keynote? What a guy. You're the best.
I try.
All right, everybody, have a good weekend. Whatever you're going to get. Oh, I guess is it Super Bowl weekend this weekend?
It is Super
Yeah.
Bowl weekend.
Not
You're
that I
right.
pay attention to that stuff.
Big
but-
game
Yay,
on Sunday.
sports ball.
So who's the big favorite? Like, what's the deal?
It's probably a football team.
I think Seattle is probably slightly favored.
Oh, okay. Well, that's sort of got an aviation thing. Seattle, like.
Yeah. Let's see Hawks.
Yeah.
See Hawk.
Far higher viewership.
The Hawk a hunter. Mm-hmm.
Toboggan Nationals at the Camden Snowball. Yes.
Yeah. That's a much more important competition, I'm sure.
What does that mean?
Right, I tell you what I need. If I'm going to do the one I think, which is like everyone flying around on the APG Air Force in their own jets, I need a grinning selfie of everyone on their phone, and then put it up in a WhatsApp, please.
Okay.
So decent phone
not
picture.
Me, just the host.
Or something I can cut out. So you don't background. I don't mind, but if it's plain, that's great. That makes it easy. But a nice grinning selfie, like you're looking out of the cockpit, ahead out of the
straight on or to the side.
Yeah, well, it can be a little to the side, but basically looking at the camera.
Want to know who you are?
Yeah, and make sure you more or less fill the frame, please.
Okay, everybody.
One from everybody, please.
You got your homework.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Have a great weekend.
Tomorrow morning, please, or tonight.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Ah.